In a statement, the White House said the scheduled tariffs on Canada and Mexico could change pending negotiations, but as of now are still moving ahead. The federal government has until March 4th to meet the markers the Trump administration has set, or tariffs could be imposed on all Canadian goods. On March 12th, additional tariffs on steel and aluminum are scheduled. Then, worldwide reciprocal tariffs in April.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Trump tariffs that continue to confuse everybody. An interview with Ruby Dalla where she exposes quite a bit about the Liberal Party, as well as potential voter fraud that also got exposed for the Ontario provincial elections. So without further ado, let's get into it. And so first off, as you heard from the opening, these tariffs are supposed to be hitting us within the next 6 days by March 4th. However, today at Trump's first cabinet hearing, one of the reporters had asked him what's going on with the tariff situation in regard to Canada and Mexico, and he said that there was going to be a pause until April 2nd. Now, it seems unclear if this means if by March 4th he's not satisfied, but just take a listen to this.
Mr. President, can you clarify the Canada-Mexico tariffs? You had put that 30-day pause.
Yeah.
You just referred to
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
April 2nd for Canada-Mexico.
Correct. And for everything.
Well, we have the fentanyl related is a pause. If they can prove to the president they've done an excellent job, that's what they first do in 30 days.
Have you guys seen any
But then the
change?
overall is April 2nd. So the big transaction is April 2nd, but the fentanyl related things, they're working hard on the border. At the end of that 30 days, they have to prove to the president that they've satisfied him to that regard. If they have,
It's gonna be
then
hard
he'll
to
give them a pause, or he won't. But
It's going
that's
to be
up to
hard
him.
to
We'll see.
satisfy. We lose 300,000 people a year to fentanyl. Not 100, not 95, not 60 like you read. You know, you've been reading it for years. We lost, in my opinion, over the last couple of years, on average, maybe close to 300,000 people dead.
So at this point, I'm as confused as everyone else because the media is now reporting March 4th, March 12th. We only have 6 days. We're hearing Trump saying April 2nd. I know they have their special report due on April 1st, so maybe that's why they're now moving everything to April 2nd. But they also mentioned that if Trump's not satisfied with the fentanyl situation in our border, then maybe we're not getting the extension to April 2nd. Again, I don't know. The dates are just all over the place. But an interesting thing on this whole fentanyl situation was Sam Cooper just did another interview on Czech Media last night. And it looks like this was just a preview to maybe a bigger interview that they're going to be doing with him. But this is a snippet of what they posted in terms of the interview. And he talks about the fentanyl and how it's a lot worse than it is.
I think the border seizure and the border in itself is a bit of a misdirection. You know, Mo, I've been reporting for years. And again, as Mayor Brad West confirmed, as my police sources in the United States and Canada continue to confirm, we are a fentanyl production powerhouse, and that's a bad thing. I'll give you some data points.
Please.
You pointed to that Falkland lab, 95 million doses of fentanyl. And RCMP confirmed some of that was due to be shipped abroad. I reported in Willful Blindness about an 85-ton seizure of precursors, methamphetamine and fentanyl precursors. Mo, this was all linked to a business person that my sources indicated was working with the Chinese triads in Vancouver. Let's not forget the massive scale money laundering that underwrites that fentanyl trafficking in Canada. My latest strong estimates are hundreds of billions laundered through Vancouver real estate and casinos. That's hundreds of billions since about 2010. Hundreds of billions in Toronto as well. This is going through our major banks. I'll give you one more data point. 1,000 kilograms of fentanyl precursors disguised as toys from China, seized in the Vancouver port in 2022. And the last point here, Mo, is we're only, as you know, our police officials in Delta have confirmed we are only searching less than 1% of the containers coming into Delta Port, the fourth largest port in North America. So it can't be denied that we are a major concern for both money laundering, production and exporting of fentanyl. And so that 1%, whatever it was, 40 kilograms seized at the northern border, I think that's a small portion of what the United States government is concerned about in Canada.
Unfortunately, we can't say that about our government because that's all they keep pushing, that we aren't the problem, that we are less than 1%. Yet they went ahead and appointed this fentanyl guy, which we have yet to hear or see from since the appointment. So there's no way that they're actually tracking any of this. And so if we're expecting the Liberal Party to somehow satisfy Donald Trump on this situation, we might as well just accept that the tariffs are on the way because they are too busy doing their own thing, like making sure Mark Carney becomes the next prime minister. And this actually takes us into the next story, which is an interview with the disqualified Ruby Dalla, conducted by a gentleman by the name of Mario Zelia. She exposes quite a bit of corruption that's happening in the Liberal Party, especially with this donation situation. Just take a look.
Now, what did they render their decision on? Because, and I know you filed an appeal. The thing that I find absolutely insane is I personally went on the Elections Canada website and I made a video talking about the abnormalities that I found with Chrystia Freeland. And there's about $30,000 of abnormalities that I found. There's people who donated twice the maximum amount under the same name. There's 6 people under the exact same household. Did they check if they all used the same credit card? And what business, like how could you know what credit card was transacted upon? And, how like, couldn't I just do that to Mark Carney? Like, can you explain to me, like, what the appeal process was like? What chance you were given, if any at all, and let me know about these abnormalities, please.
Now, before we get into Ruby's response, Mario had mentioned that he made a video exposing Freeland and her abnormal donations. Now, I think Mario is probably a lot bigger on TikTok or Twitter because his YouTube channel only has this interview as well as another interview. And I unfortunately don't have social medias, so I couldn't find it. However, I did make a video a few days ago where Ruby Dalla was talking to Ezra Levant from Rebel News, and she mentions to Ezra that there's probably some foreign donations in Mark Carney that should be investigated. Well, apparently on Twitter, some people started looking into this themselves. M. Brandt was taking a look. Andy Lee was posting on it. And they found some donations that were coming in from New York. They compiled a list of all the different donations coming from the UK, New Jersey, Geneva, Paris, totaling around $32,000. Now, a lot of these people could be Canadians that just live abroad. Who knows? But they were very adamant about digging into Ruby when they saw that 2 people were using the same credit card, which she clarified, saying that this was a husband and wife situation. But let's go back to Ruby for a second.
Well, it was just all very bizarre. One day they went and did all of these leaks to the media and had their own talking heads saying that I was going to get disqualified because of foreign interference. And they let this play out through the media the whole day. I then went on and created a video, which I posted to my social media. It was only after that video went viral all across, Instagram and Twitter, that the party then put out a clarification stating that, do you know what, these allegations actually have nothing to do with foreign interference. I think it actually wasn't foreign interference after all. It's actually the Liberal Party, the establishment, and their egos that are interfering in Canada's democracy. Then the next day was on financial violations with supposed violations of the Elections Canada Act. Well, guess what? We haven't even done a filing with the Elections Canada Act as of yet. And in addition to that, they were speaking about these donors, who had donated on a credit card. If a husband and wife choose, because of their right, that they want to donate on a credit card from their joint bank account, who is the Liberal Party of Canada or anyone else to tell them how they are to do their donations? If they had any questions, it's very simple. It's an administrative issue where you are required to do an attestation. That attestation form was sent to the appropriate people, but to go and then make up all of these false and fabricated allegations to have me disqualified, to keep me off of the debate stage, to keep me off the ballot, and then to try to complete their coronation to Mark Carney. It's just absurd. It's unacceptable, and not something that I will allow the party to do, not only to me, but to all of the millions of Canadians who believe in democracy.
Now, this interview is about half an hour long. There's a lot of great moments throughout it. I'm obviously not going to play the whole thing, but I will leave it linked down below. However, one other part that I do want to play is the discussion about the donations that she accumulated and what was going to happen with it. Apparently, the Liberal Party has decided not to give it back. She's filed for another appeal, but the fact that they waited till all of the money was donated to then disqualify her, and now that she's disqualified, not return the money, pretty scummy. But yeah, just listen to what she has to say.
Now, Ruby, I got to be honest with you. If I gave you close to $2,000, I'm a hardworking Canadian citizen, and you know what? I'm going all in on Ruby. I'd be pissed if I didn't get that money back. Is the Liberal Party have any, like, they don't need the money. Like, let's be honest. These are hardworking Canadian citizens. Like, are they planning on giving that back? Do you know how, like, what is there a process for that?
The maximum donation limit for any one individual was $1,750. We again asked in our appeal that please have the $350,000. That is, it's not Ruby Dalla's money. This is the money of hardworking Canadians who have actually contributed, who believed in the vision of Ruby Dalla, who believed in progressive policy ideas, who believed in wanting to bring the Liberal Party of Canada back to the center. We said, please return it. That's the least that you can do. And as you know, the appeal was denied. I am going to once again write to the party. We're going to continue to fight because I believe that the Liberal Party of Canada should do the right thing and return that money, not to Ruby Dalla, but return that money to the hardworking Canadians that actually believed in my vision for our party and our country. To not do otherwise, I think is just, it's completely shameless, because I don't think anyone has a right to keep anyone's money. They can go out, and their blue-eyed boy can go out and raise more money if he needs to, but my money came from a lot of hardworking Canadians and taxpayers, and I would hope that the right thing, would be done. I'm going to continue to fight for this because I just believe it's the ethical thing and it's the right thing to do.
Now, I wish I could say I expected more from the Liberal Party, but sounds about right. Disqualify her, make sure Mark Carney's the one to win, take the money. What's new? But moving on to the last story. Speaking of elections of Ontario, the provincial elections are happening currently. And a YouTube channel, MCGA, I'm sure you guys know of it, Make Canada Great Again, just did an expose on how potential voter fraud or election manipulation can happen because they do not require you to actually provide photo identification or to even match the ID that you're providing. And if you think I'm lying, take a look. If you go to this PDF, it's the electoral identification policies, and you scroll down to 4.6 photo IDs. Identification documents do not need to have a photograph. If the person who's voting essentially wants to use the ID, their appearance does not need to match the photograph. Excuse me? What are you talking about? It also says that you can use digital or photocopied versions of IDs, not the physical copy. You can just give them any random thing. And again, I did a little bit more digging on Ontario elections, or Elections Ontario's website. Again, here, ID to vote in the provincial election. ID is not required when you go to vote. If you choose to provide the photo ID, your appearance does not need to match the photo. Like, where do we live right now? Is democracy not a thing? Do we not want to make sure that things are fair and not skewed with? We have all these stories about foreign interference or election manipulation, yet they're willing to allow this as a rule. How does this make any sense? And when you scroll down to find out like what's acceptable, a blood donor card, that wouldn't have your photo ID on it. If you don't have any of these IDs, you can use any one of these items, a bank account or a credit card statement. Do you know how easy these are to fudge? You could just make copies of this or fake ones even. There was just a story about an old man who thought he was dealing with, PC Financial. He lost $750,000 in GICs.
Scammers are creating look-alike websites that will pop up in a Google search, hoping they'll hand over your personal information.
You thought you were on the real PC Financial website.
Of course I did.
82-year-old Walter Yamka of Oakville says last fall he had $750,000 in GICs with CIBC. He was searching for a better interest rate and typed best GIC rates into the Google search engine. He clicked on a website that appeared to be PC Financial's and called their phone number.
I said, I can come up with $750,000. He said, oh, we'll give you 6.5% on a GIC.
Yamka received documents with PC Financial letterhead and went to his bank and asked them to transfer the money, but the website was a fake and he was scammed out of $750,000.
They sent me a graph showing that in 1 year I was going to come up with $798,000. I've got zero, nothing.
Yamka says his bank should have known it was a scam, as the money was transferred to a bank account not associated with PC Financial.
So after seeing that, you just can think about anybody who wants to manipulate the election or screw around with it. They could make a numerous amount of fake financial statements, just throw up the marquee of TD Bank or CIBC, PC Financial, throwing a name in there, throwing a random address. These people aren't doing anything to prove that it's you. And in Make Canada Great Again's video, he went to 13 different locations in Hamilton, Burlington, and I forget the other location. And he was going to be able to vote in every single one of them. He didn't, and I'll leave the video down below if you do want to check it out. But even when he called Elections Canada, they didn't seem to realize that this was part of the program or even an issue. They were just saying, oh yeah, once you get to the table, they'll ask you for your ID. He's like, no. We're past that now. I'm actually just about to sign the paper saying I'm allowed to vote. This shouldn't happen without a proper identification. But with that being said, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think about all this craziness? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.